Hello, I just saw two films. The first film I saw was Wonka, directed by Paul King. Paul King is the director of Paddington 1 and 2, and this movie did remind me of the Paddington films a bit. The lighthearted nature of those films, the fact that they're more family-oriented, they're funny, they're charming. What separates Wonka is that it's a musical. The story follows Willy Wonka as a young man, played by Timothée Chalamet, trying to make it in the chocolate industry. Before seeing this movie, I wasn't really looking forward to it. I thought the trailers made the film look kind of bad, and I thought Timothée Chalamet's performance looked inconsistent, and he just seemed like a miscast for me.
Scratch that. Reverse it.
How do you like your chocolate? Dark, white, nutty, absolutely insane?
How do you like it? Dark, white, nutty, absolutely insane?
Actually seeing the film, I thought his performance was much better than I first thought it was gonna be. I saw some criticism that Timothée Chalamet's performance doesn't really stand out as much as some of the other supporting characters like Olivia Colman, and I might even agree with that to some extent. I thought Olivia Colman's performance was great. I really enjoyed her in the film. I thought the visual effects were fine for the most part, although at some points maybe a bit inconsistent. Something that worked about those Paddington films that works in this film as well is the humor. I did think the film was funny. I liked the reincorporation of certain characters, and a lot of things were set up and paid off very well. I do think Wonka is a better film than Tim Burton's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. That film was kind of dour and depressing, whereas this movie is much more lively and fun like the original film. The editing as well during the musical numbers is important. They were choreographed well. It was never confusing as to the staging or the blocking of anything. I think it pretty much hits on all fronts. Maybe Timothée Chalamet, I noticed some of the auto-tuning. He's average. You know, it's not like I'm jealous of him or anything. There's not much else to say about Wonka, just that I liked it. At a brisk hour and 50 minutes, this movie just accomplished everything it needed to do. It's short and sweet. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. I also just wanted to point out there were like 2 trailers before the movie started. Is there just really nothing coming out? Usually there's 20 minutes of previews, but there were just 2 trailers and then the movie started. The final film we're going to talk about is Saltburn, directed by Emerald Fennell, the director of Promising Young Woman. A really great central performance from Barry Keoghan, as well as from the supporting cast, which has a lot of recognizable actors. Some of them are in smaller parts, like Carey Mulligan. Rosamund Pike and Richard E. Grant were great. I really liked the soundtrack for this film. It enhanced certain scenes. They were just good song selections that I liked listening to, even outside of the film. All the characters were super well developed, and I really enjoyed their dialogue with each other. I don't want to give too much away about the story because I knew absolutely nothing about this film going into it, and I feel that's the best way to experience it. I could definitely see this movie appealing to younger people. I think they would really enjoy it. I think they'll really like the cultural and social commentary of the film. The movie had excellent cinematography as well. It had a distinct and commanding visual style. I really like the 4:3 aspect ratio, and I'm not just saying that to point out that I know what aspect ratios are. I just really appreciate in a film when the frame is different for an artistic reason. It did allow for some interesting framing and cinematography throughout the film. I really like certain shots in this film. The movie had a lot of energy and the pacing was great. The story was really fun and unpredictable. I didn't know where it was going to go next. The story gets far-fetched toward the end, but you could also look at this whole film as an allegory or metaphor, not take everything literally. There were some gross-out moments that were actually really visceral and made me look away from the screen, and are still kind of stuck in my head. It doesn't feel exploitative or tasteless. I think it just makes the film that much more memorable. So I would give this one a 7 out of 10 as well. I think it's a good movie. You should definitely check it out when you can. If you could still check out this movie in theaters, that's great. If not, it'll be on demand soon, so check it out when it's on demand. It's definitely worth watching. I enjoyed both the films I saw, so good job, Hollywood. I'm glad you sorted out those strikes.